Hi, I'm Hannah Anders. I am a country singer and vocal coach, and I live in Nashville, Tennessee. And maybe that's why the lesson came to me later, is that I thought that saying, we deal with imposter syndrome. I think we're as afraid sometimes of success as we are of failure. Success requires us to be the person we keep pitching that we are.
It's all necessary with Tifani Sage. Welcome to another episode of It's All Necessary with Tifani Sage. This is a space where we're reminded every life experience that we go through, it's only to prepare us and propel us to our next level up in life. So if you can please do me the honors of liking, subscribing, sharing, all that good stuff. I love to hear you guys' feedback. It really fills me up. I am so excited for today's guest, Hannah.
What's up?
Anders.
Hello.
Yes. Let's jump into it. Hannah. Oh, actually, can you introduce yourself?
Yes.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Hannah Anders. I am a country singer and vocal coach, and I live in Nashville, Tennessee.
Let's get into it.
Yeah.
So childhood, starting
Yes.
off with that. Where are you born and raised, and what's your fondest childhood memory?
So I was born in Houston, Texas. I didn't live there very long. The first couple months of my life, I always say I lived there long enough to get the big hair, and then out we went. But really, I called Georgia home. That's where I grew up and spent all of my childhood and teenage years. I'm fortunate because my parents divorced when I was young, but they did a really great collective job of co-parenting, remaining friends, in the face of what was probably a difficult thing to do.
Is it only you, or do you have siblings?
I have a younger sister.
Okay.
And so they did a great job of giving us a really beautiful childhood. But I think as it relates to maybe what we're going to talk about today, I one of my favorite memories, my dad, so I was a huge Paula Abdul fan as a child. I'm about to date myself, y'all. Okay. All right.
Okay.
So loved Paula Abdul. I had her on a cassette. It's these square plastic things that you use a pencil to roll back in. And listen on my Walkman. Absolutely loved her. And my dad comes into my room, and I at the time I felt like it was 10 o'clock at night, but it must have just been early evening. And he says, I have a surprise for you. Come with me. And I was like, okay. And we get in the car and we drive and we get to this arena in Atlanta. And I was like, what are we doing? And we walk in and I have no idea what's happening. I'm probably 7 or 8 years old. And all of a sudden the whole arena starts chanting for Paula Abdul. And I looked at my dad and I was like, are we here to see Paula Abdul? And I got put on the shoulders because I was so little. And it was kind of that moment that solidified for me that I wanted to be on stage. I mean, when you see Paula Abdul dancing with the holographic cat, that was a big deal, you guys. I just kind of knew I was, I was like, this is what I want to do with my life. And that's such a great memory because I think of, being what that must have been like to be a young parent and get these tickets and know how much that meant to your daughter.
Wow. And even like as an adult now, when you go to like those big gatherings, it's a lot of energy. So I can only imagine being young and it's like, what? And you're shorter,
tiny,
so you're looking up and it's like the lights and the people and everyone cheering. And
I hadn't really ever at least in memory, been to a major concert like that before. So I didn't know what was happening. I mean, I knew we were at a concert. I was old enough to comprehend that, but for it to come out and be my favorite pop star, for my dad to have put that effort, for my mom to have been probably in the background, supporting that and like, okay, let's surprise her, so that's probably,
shout out to the parents.
I know. Shout out to the parents. Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Ooh, role models, if any, growing up.
Yeah, probably my parents, honestly.
Okay.
I and my grandmother. I'm going to say my grandmother was my first music teacher. She was my first piano teacher. She was that steady force in my life, my entire life. I just lost her last year, and that was a massive void. It's okay. I mean, it was not tragic. She was old. She lived a beautiful life. I miss her, but that was a life well lived. But my parents were both extremely entrepreneurial and worked for themselves their whole lives, and were people that saw a void and filled it with their businesses. And I think that to not acknowledge that as having made a massive impact on me, considering I've been an entrepreneur my entire life, pretty much. Thanks. With rare exception right out of college, where I worked for people for about 2 years and went, oh no, that's not for me, you know? So yeah, I'd have to give it to them.
Whoa, pop, pop, pop. All right. So my name is Tifani Sage. I'm a confidence and clarity life coach. If you're feeling unfulfilled in your life, or you don't know what's next for you, I'm your girl. I can take you to new levels of clarity. Click the link in my bio for a complimentary, yeah, I said it, complimentary call with me so we can get your life on track. Click the link so we can connect.
Absolutely.
What are some similarities and differences of yourself from when you were younger to now?
Probably just blind faith that I was going to succeed at the things I wanted to do. I think that as a young girl, I just felt very destined to carve my own way. And I still feel like that. And probably where I'm different is that I have gotten much more at peace with the carving looking different. You know, you think when you're young, you're so like, it's got to look like this. It has to happen this way. And you learn as an adult with maturity and wisdom that life is not linear at all. And that, you know, you have to make peace with that process. And so in that way, I'm very different. But I still operate under just sort of blind optimism. And I think as an entrepreneur, you have to. You have to believe that you're capable of the thing that you're trying to pay your bills with and succeed at. Otherwise, if you think about it too hard the other way, you'll just crumble. So yeah, I've sort of had
another segment about crumbling, dealing with the crumbling, or like the rumbling, feeling the rumbling.
Yes, absolutely. The rumble is real.
Yeah. Which kind of answers my next question. How would you say your upbringing shaped you?
Yeah.
What would you say in addition to entrepreneurship?
Yeah, my parents, in addition to sort of modeling entrepreneurship and modeling work ethic and all of those things, also modeled a lot of safety in the emotional process. And my parents have, to this day, are so great about asking me hard questions about what I want to do, why I'm doing something, and modeling a space where it's okay to sit with the uncomfortable stuff. And as a result, I'm really comfortable in the uncomfortable stuff. I don't like to be there, but it's not a taboo subject in my life. And I think that has really shaped, also as a coach, which I know we'll get into, but that has shaped how I approach my students. And I think that one of my biggest platforms as a teacher is this is going to at times be very uncomfortable and vulnerable, and we're okay. It's okay there. In fact, that's often where the growth occurs, you know? So they definitely.
And I guess it gets sticky and it hurts more when one doesn't want to grow in that space where it's like, no, this is where the growth is supposed to happen.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I always say the universe starts with a whisper, and you can either hear the whisper or eventually it's a kick in the ass. I don't know, let's say that, but the whisper will get louder, and because the growth is inevitable. So you can either lock arms with that growth and you can sit in the discomfort of it and you can face it, or you can fight it. And I think the lesson gets harder. Yeah. And so my parents were always so great about what can you learn. My mom loves to say to me to this day, you know, can you be curious about it instead of afraid of it? Can you ask why it's happening to you or what the lesson is early so that you can sort of get through the lesson,
and
you know.
That can be applied to everything.
Everything. Absolutely.
Relationships, friendships, all that.
I agree.
Lead with curiosity.
Lead with curiosity. And curiosity will override fear a lot of the time. Because if you sit and go, okay, let me be curious about it. You know, why is it happening? What could I be learning? Where am I complicit in my own discomfort? What have I allowed? You know, rather than feeling afraid or feeling like you've somehow let somebody or yourself down, asking the whys and how you've participated. Yeah. Because I think if you can identify that early, you can end your participation in the process.
And what I also hear is awareness.
Super
like being
important.
Honest with yourself as well too.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah, this is going to be good. All right, moving on to the next segment, 100% necessary.
Yeah.
2 to 3 necessary characteristics you feel one needs to excel being in your case, entrepreneur, coach, artist.
Discernment.
Ooh, okay.
I think that's so important. You know, in the entertainment industry, which I'm in all facets of my life as a coach, as an artist, as a songwriter, there are a lot of negative possibilities in this industry. There's a lot of negativity that you can get pulled into under the mask of opportunity.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that discernment is something that is so important for someone to be successful in this industry. I would say self-assuredness. It's a lot of people will try to beat the love of it out of you and beat the creativity out of you. And I think that self-assuredness, that you have something to say, that you're confident in that, not arrogant, because we all have things to learn, but that you're self-assured that this is what you're meant to be doing.
Yeah.
And I would say, and maybe that comes back to self-awareness, like we were talking about earlier. I think self-awareness in this is very important. Are you listening to the things around you? Are you taking the good advice? Are you aware enough to put yourself in the right opportunities? Do you know what that looks like? And I think that kind of with the discernment and with the self-assuredness has to come self-awareness. You can't be self-assured and lack awareness. Now you're just arrogant and hard to deal with.
Ooh.
You know?
Yeah.
So you've got to have both of those things, I think, in conjunction. And then we could go into the obvious answers, like you need some talent, you need some drive, you need, but I think those are the sort of low-hanging fruit answers. We all know that in order to be in front of people, there's certain qualities a person has to have that are sometimes, you can't, it's the it thing. You don't know what it is. But I think if we're going deeper than that, I think for me, those are the things I've found in the people that succeed and the things that I think you need to develop within yourself.
Well said. 2 pieces of advice that were necessary for your growth.
Sometimes the smartest thing that you can do is stop or end an idea that you're working on.
Oh, why?
Because I think that as an entrepreneurial person, as a creative person, you are constantly coming up with ideas, business ideas, creative ideas, song ideas, whatever it is. They're not all gems.
Yeah.
But our pride and our ego, it's especially if you've invested money, and I have a story about this later, but it's very easy to feel like, well, I've come this far, so I need to keep going. And sometimes that's true. And sometimes, back to self-awareness, the smartest thing that you can do. I'm in a women's entrepreneurship group, and the owner of that, the creator of that, said that to me when I was approaching her. I had kind of a couple businesses running at the same time. One of which was profitable and one wasn't. But the one that wasn't, I'd put so much money into and heart and time and effort. And she said to me, she goes, honey, sometimes the smartest thing an entrepreneur does is close a business. And you have to decide for yourself when you stop splitting your efforts, and it's like I think it's a proverb that says the man that chases many rabbits catches none. And so I think it's about learning where you're chasing the wrong thing. So that was great advice. And it came to me at a time that I really needed to hear it. And I think the other thing in the way of business is not all money is good money.
That is big.
Yeah.
It's
big. Huge.
How does one know that it's not good money?
Your body will tell you. Your physical response will tell you. And we will override the intuition that, I don't know, it's not a great client, they're going to be difficult, this isn't a great show to take, this agent or manager or whoever I'm trying to team up with here is giving me a something. Sometimes more than that, but let's just say you don't know anything except that your physical being is responding in a way that's out of alignment, but we override because we're afraid to lose the opportunity. Right? We override because we're scared that we're going to be hard to work with. And they're going to say, well, especially women, we struggle with wanting to not be difficult to work with. It's hard enough to get in the door. Now we're in the door and now we're going to be labeled all these things that women are labeled in business. And I would say that it's so important to recognize early that not all money is good money. Not all opportunities are good opportunities. And that the smartest thing you can do when you feel that, if it's nothing else but a little like in your stomach, that you say, thank you so much for the opportunity. It's not for me. And you clear that space.
And make room.
Make room.
Yeah.
It's hard. I did not learn that as a young artist or as a young entrepreneur. I learned it later. And I think that's okay. I think a lot of us learn it later. We get fed up being taken advantage of, or showing up and realizing like, oh, this is not what I signed up for. But if I could give any advice to people coming up in their own business or their own artistry is that if you get even the slightest tinge if your body is speaking to you in a way that is constricting or resisting, politely decline.
How, if someone says, playing devil's advocate,
Yeah.
oh, how do I know that's not fear because it, I don't know, it's a big opportunity or whatever.
Yeah.
I guess it's just eventually.
You do learn. And that comes back to the discernment.
Yeah.
That quality that's so important. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to say yes to the wrong thing. You're going to say no to the right thing. You can't expect a perfect track record.
It's not linear.
It's not linear.
Yeah.
But what comes, and maybe that's why the lesson came to me later, is that I thought that saying, we deal with imposter syndrome. I think we're as afraid sometimes of success as we are of failure. Success requires us to be the person we keep pitching that we are. So when we're presented with that opportunity, there is fear, but I do think that you learn the difference between healthy fear and your intuition, your spidey sense kind of tingling. And that discernment's got to be refined. The earlier you can get that into your system, the better. Not all money is good money.
I love that word, discernment, because to me, I feel like it's a big advantage to be in tuned. I feel everyone does have it, but to tune it.
You have to tune it.
How do you personally tune yours?
That's a great question. I don't know that I have necessarily actively done anything to tune the discernment. I think it's always been there. I think the difference is that I listen to it more often. And as a result, it's more likely to show up first. It shows up first. And I think that you have to not listen to it and receive the consequences of that a few times.
To be like, you know what,
I felt it.
Yeah.
I felt the thing, and I got too scared to lose this opportunity. And I promise you, if you take that opportunity anyway, it will disappoint you.
Yeah.
In some form or fashion. It will either be the most difficult client you've ever worked with, or the worst show you've ever played, or you won't get paid in the end, or something will happen, and you'll look back in that hindsight and go, I knew it. I knew better.
Thank you so much for this. I want to say thank you for being aware and in tuned in your life, that you can come on a platform and speak these good gems.
Thank you.
This means a lot.
Of course.
In the last question in this segment, 2 daily practices, business or personal, that help you to have a good day.
Some kind of physical activity every single day. I'm big into exercise. I lift weights. I lift heavy, uncomfortable weights. I feel like if you start your day like that's the hardest thing you've done all day. Everything feels very manageable. And I used to be really into the physical activity because I wanted to be thin and I wanted to be fit and I wanted to fit into stage costumes. And as I've gone through my life, I do it now because I want to be mentally fit. I want to be physically capable. I want to balance on one foot while I put pants on and not feel like I'm huffing and puffing on stage. And, now for me, it's about holistic approach to my health. So some kind of physical activity every single day. If I can't get to the gym, I get out and walk. I do something to move my body. I think that that's critically important, and we've pushed that on people for the wrong reasons.
And then some people resent it because of that, but not knowing the benefits. Or even if they do know the benefits, the things that they were being pushed about overrides.
The messaging's all wrong. It's that, for some reason you need to be or look a certain way. No, you need to have longevity and flexibility and mobility. And for me on the stage side of things, I'm pulling 90-minute, 2-hour shows. It's straight cardio for 2 hours. And I've probably driven 8 hours that day. We've loaded in, we've sound checked. I mean, if your physical being can't do the job, you can't do the job. Yeah. And then from an entrepreneurial standpoint, I'm 16, 18-hour days. If my physical well-being is not a top priority, I can't do the job that I'm trying to do. So I think we've got to change the messaging around why physical fitness is important. And it does look different for different people. Yeah. And I am never going to be 100 pounds. That is not what I'm built to do. I tried so hard in my 20s to be that girl. I dieted my way into so many unhealthy habits. So for me, that physical movement has become therapy, and it has become mental clarity, and I start my day that way. The other thing that I have really made a concerted effort to do is I choose my day. So I start by looking at my day, and sometimes it's overwhelming. Sometimes it's 11 clients, it's 2 meetings, it's, a bunch. And I go, I am choosing this day. Every action I've taken up to this point has led to this day. I've made decisions that chose this day. So instead of feeling like I have to do this, changing it to I get to. Yeah. And that's a hard practice, and I'm not perfect at it every day, but getting up and looking at my day, and I start to feel that overwhelm, and I think, no, I'm going to choose everything I have to do today. It's an intentional decision. Yeah. I have made efforts to be right here and do this. And if something about that's out of alignment, I need to take a more macro perspective on how I'm spending my time. But the effort of saying, no, I choose today. Choose everything that comes with it. I choose the 14-hour work. I choose it. Even when I'm like, I really don't choose it today, but I choose it, and that practice has just helped from the perspective of like, how do you have a good day? I think and that probably goes hand in hand with gratitude for the day that you're having. We hear a lot of people talk about the importance of gratitude so much it feels cliche, but my God, if you don't have gratitude for what you're doing, it's impossible to find happiness. It's impossible.
And it's empowering.
It is
the choosing.
It is empowering. Yeah. And this isn't happening to me. I am creating this for myself.
And what am I doing to help this be my day?
That's right.
Which is pretty good on a business level.
Yeah, absolutely it is. But if something is out of alignment, you're not a victim. You participated.
Girl, yes.
Yeah, and that's not even just for people that work for themselves. Whether any job, any way that you're spending the bulk of your time, if it is out of alignment with you, you are participating in that misalignment. So show up some other way for yourself. And until then, choose it because you did. And if that feels icky to choose it, start making some different choices. And that's hard to do. We get scared. We got to pay bills. They come like clockwork, but it doesn't mean you implode your whole life, but it does mean you start. People underestimate micro changes. They underestimate micro changes.
This is some good stuff.
It's little tiny shifts in your consistency, that will change everything. Yeah.
Moving on to work and lifestyle. I love this. Okay, so you answered this. What moment inspired you to become a country artist? Paula Abdul. Well, she inspired me to be an artist. Okay. Country music actually came later for me in my life. Okay. So I went through, and I think it was moving to Nashville, really. I did my undergrad here. I have a voice degree. And I definitely experimented with different genres. And country, when I started to write, when I became a songwriter, everything came out country. It was just not even, it was just how I wrote. And it's got to be because I grew up in the culture of it. That's very much my memories that formed me, and even now, really, so much of, if you come to a live show, I mean, it's very Southern rock inspired. It's very classic rock inspired. We do have a lot of traditional country as well. And I feel like I don't love that we have to necessarily be labeled a thing. I think all artists are inspired by multiple things, but people need things to fit in a category to understand them. And that's, I think, difficult for artists because we're generally multiple facets of the art. But the performing, absolutely. Shout out to my girl, Paula. But the country part, that just came with my evolution as a songwriter and an artist, and it just felt and it continues to feel very natural for me to do that. Yeah, to write that way. What did that process look like when you decided to take music seriously?
I don't remember a time I didn't take music seriously. I really don't. I think that, I started songwriting when I was 14. I was still in high school, as a freshman in high school. So I guess I couldn't really take music seriously in any sort of professional way because I was a student. When I was coming up, we didn't have social media. We didn't have YouTube. We didn't have TikTok. We didn't have any of the platforms that would have allowed me to experiment.
Yeah.
And so I guess for me, what it started to look like is when I did move to Nashville and I started to study voice on a collegiate level, and I started to really, push for the first time, was able to push this as my career. It was really about making sure that I was delegating time within my day or my week to expand my abilities. And I think that was probably the first real shift that happened when I was 18. But I think I've always taken it very seriously. I don't even actually know what else I would do with my life. I don't.
That helps a lot, because I know sometimes people, they're like, oh, I want to do so many things.
Yeah.
And then the whole saying that you said with the rabbits, just chase one.
Just chase one. Yeah.
Was it a natural thing for you to start the Vocal Academy? And I guess also too, when did you decide to do that?
Yeah. So I began coaching 16 years ago. Yes, I've been doing it a long time. So I graduated with this degree in music. We joke, music majors among ourselves, that we have a degree in waitressing, because what are you supposed to do with a voice degree unless you're going to continue to go on for your master's or your PhD or and that's, it's not a fair joke. Musicians are some of the most hardworking, talented people in the world, but a music degree does not lend you a business job or an accounting job or stability within the workforce. So we always kind of are self-deprecating about our music degrees. But I graduated with this music degree. I worked a couple of odd and end jobs. I actually did get a corporate job as a personal assistant. And I did that, and it was very, very hard. I was good at it. It was very tempting to lean into that world. I was getting a consistent paycheck. Here I was 23 years old, and I was making really good money. I will say I graduated college with a record deal, and I was dropped. I know, but I was dropped from that record deal. I graduated in May, and I was dropped from that deal in September. And I was dropped from that deal because the label head flew to Nashville for a meeting and made a pass at me, which I politely rejected, and I was dropped the next day.
Wow.
Yeah, that still happens, by the way, all the time. But they were paying me a monthly per diem to live and to So here I graduated with this degree and a record deal. I'd done it, right? I had accomplished the dream, and I left my job. I was front desk at a spa. That's what I did in college, my little part-time job, and I left it because I got a record deal, and I had to go back and ask for my job back. And
how was that? It's funny. We spoke about that the other day when it was a part-time thing. I was in college and I left because I was just like, I don't want to be stuck. Sometimes I have this thing of like, if something's happening for too long and it's something I don't want, I'm thinking, oh, this is just, I guess, is this my life?
Right.
I left it, went to another part-time gig, and I'm like, this definitely is not going to
this ain't it.
My mom was like, go back to that other job and ask for your job back. And I was like,
I know.
It's like the walk of shame.
It is like the walk of shame. Did you get your job back?
I did. They were happy to see me, but I felt like this is not, I don't want to be here.
I know.
It felt like, you thought you could survive out there.
Yeah.
And even though it's, a little retail job in college, to me, I can dramatize things. It's like, this is going to be the end of me.
And you do feel like that right out of college. You feel like everything you're doing.
When you know what you're capable of doing, the ideas that you have,
Yes, but the world doesn't see you like that yet because you're this
so good.
College grad, right?
That is so good.
So you're stuck between who you know yourself to be, your lack of life experience being the thing people see.
Yeah.
And your bill's still coming. Right? It's a horrible trifecta. I wouldn't relive my 20s for all the money in the world. Yeah. I tell people that all the time. Oh my gosh, don't you miss your 20s? Hell no.
Yeah,
I would never repeat that. They were great. I would never repeat them. There's too many hard lessons there.
Wait, so was it a natural thing for you to
start?
Yes.
Sorry. So I had this corporate job making great money, and I went to my boss and I said, sort of exactly the thing you're describing. And I said, I have this music degree. I'm a musician. It's in my heart to be a musician. I needed this respite because when I lost that record deal, I was heartbroken. Yeah. And and actually leaving my front desk job that I'd gone back to and getting this sort of corporate CEO assistant job helped my self-esteem a little bit. Like, okay, I'm not relegated to retail. I'm not relegated to, it's not going to be my life forever selling face wash, you know? And and there's nothing wrong with that. But I sat with him and I said, I've got to either move into a different department. I cannot be your assistant anymore. That is, if you've ever been an assistant to someone, that is a full-time commitment.
Oh, yes.
And somebody busy, especially.
Yeah.
And he was actually the one that said, why don't you teach? You have this music degree. I was 24 at the time. And I thought, I'm 20, who's going to listen to me? I'm 24. My gosh, and he said, well, you're the one with the degree. You're the one with all the experience. You've spent your whole life doing this. You have more experience arguably than someone 3 times your age who's just wanting to take lessons. So I rented a little office on Music Row. I got a little keyboard. I had a little, put out a site, and I started my first vocal studio. And I only ran that for a year before moving to Los Angeles. And I moved to LA, and that's where I really built. At the time, it was the Hannah Anders Vocal Studio, and I built that, and that sustained me in LA. I was working with The Voice, X Factor, MTV, major studios. I had managers sending me their clients. I realized, wow, this is something I'm really good at. This is something that I'm sort of designed to coach. I love it. And it allowed me the flexibility to continue to be an artist. I could tour, I could go. And in fact, being an artist made me a better coach because I was coming back, I was living it. And then I was able to come back and support and help my students. So the Vocal Academy, which is it's a larger conversation, but that umbrella has taken over, and that happened over the pandemic. And that umbrella is now my business umbrella. The Hannah Anders Vocal Studio sort of got sucked up into that. But I have been teaching for almost 16 years now. So yes, it was, long answer to your question, it was a natural transition as a musician and as someone that wanted command of their time and their schedule to own my own business. And the thing I was qualified to do was sing, and therefore teach how to sing. And I've obviously, from 24 to now, I'm a much different teacher. I've continued to educate myself and continued to learn and and students teach you as much as you teach them about how to give and deliver information. But it felt like the right, and I never looked back. I've worked for myself since then. Yeah.
It just slipped in my mind. Something about, let me think. Clients.
Yeah.
Was it easy how was it getting like your first few? Did it take months to get?
It's hard. It's difficult, especially in towns where vocal coaches are aplenty, like a Nashville or a Los Angeles. What actually changed my destiny in LA, which I would say is really where my studio thrived, because I was only here a year, and that's not a lot of time to build a business. But I actually was on Craigslist, which in LA is it's funny because Craigslist is not a thing everywhere, but in LA, at least at the time, like you went to Craigslist for things, right? And there was a little singing competition happening in downtown LA, and they said, we're looking for a judge for tonight to come and judge the vocal competition, and we're gonna pay you like $50. Okay, I was so broke. I just moved to LA. I'd closed my business. I didn't have a job. I was self-employed. I wrote them. I said, I can come. I'm a vocal coach. I'd love to also offer a free lesson to every person that participates in your competition. So got dressed, went down, became and it was this little rinky-dink talent show. It wasn't like, okay, guys, it wasn't like American Idol. Okay. But the singers that were participating were incredible. And I offered a free lesson to every one of them. I'd say about 70% of them took me up on it. And I'd say from that, about 60% stayed. And that was really how I started my clientele in Los Angeles. It took a minute to get there. And I would say to anybody starting a business, like, you're not profitable in that first little bit. Don't panic. Don't panic, But and then from there, those singers had managers, and those managers started sending me their other clients, and then it just kind of snowballed.
Snowball effect. What were some lifestyle / business savvy changes you had to make in the midst of starting your academy?
I completely shifted my time management. And this seems like a duh answer, but I was so busy between, I've got an original band that I front and I tour with. I have a tribute band that we began over the pandemic to sort of give it, that was a crazy time, y'all. And then I've got my vocal studio. And then I am a wife, I'm a daughter, I'm a friend, I'm all the things. And what I found was I was trying to fit all the things into every day. And I was burning out. I was exhausted. I wasn't thinking clearly. And so one of the biggest changes I had to make was, okay, on these days of the week, I am a teacher. These are the days I take students. These are the days that I will take a meeting here and there if I need to, if something is really pressing. But these are the days I coach. And I protect those days. They are sacred days. They are for my students. These are the days that I am a business owner, that I'm a band leader, that I am a admin person for the vocal account, whatever it is that needs to be done. These are the days I'm an artist, that I'm taking meetings, that I'm songwriting, that I'm in studio. And I am very strict about those boundaries. For me to make a shift to that, it's really because it's the right and appropriate thing to do, either for the student that has something coming up really pressing, or if I'm ready to head out on the road for a few days and I've had to take one of those days away from my students to do that, I will give them one of my other days. So I have flexibility within that, but in order for me, I realized to succeed at any of it, I had to compartmentalize it. I could not mix it up too much. And I couldn't be a great coach, the coach they were paying for and deserved to have, if my mind was like, oh, I've got a meeting after this that requires a completely different part of my brain, you know, and vice versa. So that time management and the boundaries around my time management, I'm fairly strict about. And I think that has allowed me to really push the ball forward on things, even though on paper it might look like, oh, I could add a teaching day. I could make more money adding a teaching day, but actually my teaching would suffer as a result because I'd be burnt out and I wouldn't be having time for processes and implementing things that they need. Right. Yeah. So that time management thing's been huge for me.
Same. I'm one with my calendar, and I'll never forget when I read, it said Elon Musk, like between SpaceX and like all the other stuff, it's like he does the same thing you just said, assign the days, and that has helped with like my podcasting, my life coaching, as you said, like the admin stuff, even leisure, if I want to play tennis for 2.5 hours.
And you need that. Yes. There's this great quote that I read that said, we have to stop confusing people's free time with their availability. And that too, and it's like, if you want to go play tennis, you might be free, but you're not available, right? And those boundaries with your time management, because how can you be a whole happy person for your clients and what you do if you don't have tennis that day, or coffee with your girlfriend, or with your mom, or whatever it is that you need for your mental health. You know, entrepreneurs horrendously bad about work-life balance, right? So taking that time, and me too, me and the calendar, like we are just
together.
We're like this. One. Yes.
Last question in this section. When was a time that the entrepreneur ride got rocky and you kind of had like doubts?
Oh, on the regular, you guys. Any entrepreneur that tells you they don't consistently sit with what they're doing and go, am I doing the right thing? Am I optimizing what I'm doing? You and I could have an entire 2-hour conversation about the times that I have just questioned everything. But honestly, I'm going to tell you, the one time in my life that absolutely every avenue of my entrepreneurship was at risk was probably during the pandemic. Okay. And that was because in my career, I've had my performing career, in jeopardy or at risk, or going through a hard time. I've had my creative side in a hard time. I've had my business, my teaching side in a hard time. That was the first time that every single one of my income streams, creative streams, my entire momentum, all my trajectory, like so many of us. But I think for entertainers, I mean, our job is with people, and the ripple effect into our entertainment side, venues, bartenders, sound engineers, tour bus crew, tour manager, everybody had to take distance. And then on top of that, I'm a coach. I'm in person with people. So thankfully we adjusted and moved online after a little while. We all figured out this wasn't going to be 2 weeks to flatten the curve. This was in fact going to go on for 2 years. And so I would say the pandemic, but within that, and within that quiet, is when the Vocal Academy actually, the inception of that happened.
The
growth and the discomfort, because I was so busy that I could not stop. And this is again where the time management element came in after this. I was so busy I could not stop to think about how I needed to scale and how I needed to grow, because I was working in my business, not on my business. And so that quiet allowed me to think about working on my business. And I took on a business partner in that time, and I'd always done it all by myself. And yeah.
I'm like freaking Superwoman.
No. Oh God, no. Not at all. But I in fact, am so not. I took on a business partner because you recognize you're not Superwoman. You feel like you're Superwoman. And then you go, no, I need a Superman. I need somebody to come in and or another Superwoman. And I need someone to come in and partner. So I took on a partner in that time. The Vocal Academy went through many iterations and to be what it's becoming now. But I'd say the pandemic flattened me in a lot of ways. And I recognize in saying that people actually lost their lives and lost loved ones. And so I don't mean to diminish that, but from my personal experience in that time, everything I'd spent my life working for hit the decks. And I had to stop and evaluate every single thing. I also was engaged. I got engaged the fall before November before the pandemic hit. So that was a weird time. So every element of my life was wrapped up into this tragedy that was happening as a collective human race. And but within that, it gave me pause that I probably would not have taken for myself. And I don't know that the Vocal Academy would be what it is without that pause. Yeah, I really don't.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Ooh, moving on to one of my favorite segments, Essence. What does Hannah love most about herself?
I think that I love that my ability to find common ground with just about anybody. And I think that that's important as a coach. But I don't do it. It's not performative. I really appreciate the common ground with other human beings. And I think that if we would all stop and recognize that there are more similarities than differences, we'd be a lot kinder to each other. But I think that my ability to do that is something I'm proud of. I think it gives me confidence in my coaching business, because I'm not afraid that anybody's going to walk through that door, their age, their race, their sex, their walk of life, their religion, and I can't find something that we are going to sync up about.
I love the intention and the choice of that.
Yeah.
And I think, that would be a great life or world to live in if everybody was just like, what can we find a middle ground on?
And it might not be much. Okay. It might not be a lot, but there's something that we are a collective species. We have common things that we care about. We sometimes differ on the execution of those things, but we pretty much want the same things out of our lives. And so if you can go into any new relationship or any relationship with that and say, there's something here that makes us the same. And I pride myself in that. And that's something I've sharpened as a coach as well, because that's a vulnerable room for people to walk into for the first time. Singing is so incredibly vulnerable. If someone doesn't like your piano playing, you're like, well, it's the piano. And you just keep running scales, you'll get better, right? But if someone doesn't like your voice, or your voice betrays you in a moment that you need to be performing, you just want to crawl in a hole and die. It's horrible. So they're already coming in nervous, and they're already coming in exposed. And so I feel like my ability to ground them and make them feel safe and find commonality and share a shared experience that makes them feel not so alone. I feel proud of that.
I love that. What would you say you're most proud of yourself of?
Oh man, my stick-to-itiveness. Yeah, I think there's a lot of time. There have been moments where I, like anybody, I sit in the living room floor and I'm just crying, and my husband will walk in and I'm like, only a crazy person would continue to do this, and he just kind of like, it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. This is the slow back up out of the room. Do you need something? Can I I'm really proud of that, because, oh my gosh, I sometimes go, God, wouldn't it be nice to just go to work and get a paycheck and have benefits and health insurance and a 401k and I'm capable. I've done a corporate job. I know I'd be good at it. and let it go when I come home. It's not my circus, let someone else deal with all that. I definitely, that's a tempting offer sometimes when you think like, gosh, I could just forget all this and just take my money and go. Yeah. But my inner self won't allow it.
The freedom of time, not freedom of time, because sometimes you can be so busy. It's like, where did my time go?
Yeah.
But is it I guess, you being in control of your time?
I think it's being in control.
Yeah.
I think it's an illusion that entrepreneurs have more time. In fact, I think we work harder than anybody. And I think we work more hours than anybody. There's no but it is the control to say, no, I don't want to do that with my time. And that comes with sacrifices. If I go on a vacation, like I try to, tell people, I'm like, it's not just the cost of the vacation, it's the lost income. It's a double hit as an entrepreneur.
I never thought about that.
Yeah. So that's not very appealing, right? When you start to think, there's a downside to entrepreneurship.
Versus I'm getting paid to have
paid vacation. Exactly.
But then it's but then when you go back, especially if you don't like your job, I think for me, I realize that's what it is. Because I recently am a full-time entrepreneur. Yeah. And I realize, 9 to 5s aren't bad, but if you don't like what you're doing,
it's torture.
Yes.
It's jail. Yeah, absolutely. But for you and for me, I mean, if we get sick, no one's filling in. The job, the wheels don't keep turning, right? Yeah. So it's not without its risk, and it isn't for everybody. And I would just say to anybody listening, it's okay if entrepreneurship is not for you. Yeah. It is grueling. It is exhausting. There is no I just don't feel like working today. Yes, you can do that, but not for very long, right? The buck stops with you. And if you sit down and really think about it at night before you go to sleep, if I just stop, my income stops, my momentum stops. I mean, it's terrifying. So it's not for everybody. And I don't think that anybody should feel like, if they're not called to it, that there's something wrong with them. But for those of us who are called to it, you got to have that stick-to-itiveness. And I'm proud of that, because I think that, I wouldn't be here without my ability to go, okay, that sucked, or I'm so broke, or I don't know what to do now, or whatever the lesson has been, and go, okay, so how do I fix it? Yes. What do I need to change? What do I need to be curious about in my process, right? And because of that, I've been able to so far endure, but I think you got to have it.
When do you feel most at peace with yourself?
Probably out in nature. I love to walk in the woods. That's
really?
Yes, I just love it.
Morning, lunchtime?
Probably morning. Okay. I really, when I go on tour, I'm fortunate. I tour the UK a lot, and when we're in the Scotland portion of the tour, we stay in this beautiful part of the Highlands of Scotland, and we've made a very great friend there who hosts us during that time, and he's so lovely, and he lives a 5-minute walk from this walk that you go and you're like, this is why they think there's fairies in Scotland. This is why, you walk through the woods and you listen to the birds and you see how green and the creek and the river, and you're like, you understand why so much folklore comes out of this part. And it's become such necessary tradition for me that I start my day with that walk, so much that my tour manager will say, did you get your walk today? Because he knows that is where I am centering myself. And we live in a city here, so you kind of have to drive to your walks, which just kind of harsh your vibe a little bit. But that's probably where I feel the most centered and the most able to have conversations with my higher power, with the universe. I can hear the answers a little more clearly in that time. Yeah. So I need to be better about it when I'm home. Touring is sort of an escape from your day to day. And so, but that's, it's probably where I'm most zen.
I like that. Ooh, if you had a pep talk with your younger self, what would you say?
What would I say to her? It's not going to look the way you think it's going to look, and it's okay. I would tell her to say no early and often to the things that don't feel right. Okay. My younger self was very afraid of lost opportunities. And as a result, I put myself through harder lessons than I probably needed to. And they all stemmed from self-worth, from self-esteem, from feeling like I wasn't worthy of saying no. Who was I to say no? Even though, even at that young age, my intuition was sharp and I knew something was wrong. So I would just tell her, it's going to look different.
Yeah.
It's going to be great. Say no. Say no the instant something is off. You'll lose nothing. Yeah. But you'll lose so much by saying yes to those things that are wrong.
Out to you saying no to the person who made the pass.
Yeah.
To lose, like you lost the record deal, but imagine how much more you could have lost yourself
if
you had said yes.
Yes.
To that.
And you can appreciate for the people that have opted into that choice why it's tempting. This is someone who, here I was 22 years old. Someone was cutting me a check for thousands of dollars a month to just be an artist, to live the dream. And here comes this CEO, snappy dresser guy saying, there's more where that came from. And you just go, wow, okay. And sometimes my husband and I joke about it. I go, damn, my moral compass.
I love that you guys can joke about
You gotta laugh. You've gotta laugh, He's like, I know, babe, we could be on a yacht right now, but we have to laugh,
The both of us.
Yeah, the both of us, but it's just, I would have lost so much. I'd have lost so much more. But trust you, in the dark nights of the soul, you're like, how bad would that have been, really? I mean, he's a nice guy. But, thankfully, no, the inner knowing was like, no, that's not for you. That's not for you.
Last segment. Yeah. And thank you so much for your time, your gems of wisdom. What are you OCD about?
The volume has to be on an even number when I would watch TV. Yeah.
Really?
I know.
I've never heard of that
I'm such a freak. It has to be on an even number. And here's the worst part. The odd numbers are actually a more pleasant volume.
Wow.
But it's got to be on an even number. The only exception is a 5. It can be on a 5.
Okay.
1, 3, 7, and 9, y'all. It's not for me.
Oh, I'm gonna try. I'm gonna mess with the volume dial and see if I have do you ever, odd number is
21's giving me a bad vibe. Right. 22 though, that feels good.
If you could only eat one food for the rest of your life, what would that be?
Oh gosh. Probably any Mediterranean food. I'm half Palestinian. My mom, born and raised in the Middle East. And I grew up on the hummus and the pita bread and the kebabs and the grape leaves and probably anything Mediterranean.
I love grape leaves.
I do too. Yeah, I do too. For the rest of my life. It's nostalgic. It's comfort food. It's all the things. Yeah.
If you received $10 million tonight, how would your tomorrow look different? Wait, first the yacht.
Duh. Getting on a yacht, y'all. Myself. Yeah. No creepy old man's gonna do it. What I love about the answer I'm about to give you is I would do exactly what I'm doing now, but I would be able to elevate it because money allows us to elevate everything. Let's just be real. I mean, money, resources, the difference between a business or a brand that you know and a business and a brand that you don't is visibility. How do you get visibility? You pump funds behind it, right? Obviously, you get it organically over time. But if you have, I think there's a lot of incredible brands that don't have operating capital that if we knew about them would shame so many of the brands that we access, right? But I think that I would secure the people that I love. I would make sure everybody I cared about was taken care of. I think those are the easy answers, pay off the credit card, do all the things, right? But the beauty, I think, is that I would do exactly what I'm doing. I'm not the person that says, $10 million, thank God, I'm going to stop everything I've been doing because I don't like it. No, I would take everything that I'm doing. I would make the push behind the Vocal Academy massive. I would tour support would change. There's so much that would elevate as a result and then change for the better, but I would not stop what I'm doing. And I would take care of the people that I love. I think the boring answer is I'd probably sit with my financial planner and be like, how we turn this into 20. You know what I'm saying? So, those are the boring but adult answers. If I got $10 million, y'all, the interest on that right now would be great.
And to end it, what is your ultimate life motto?
Be stubborn about your goals and flexible about your methods.
Oh man, that sounds like the title of this episode. That was really good. Well, I feel like I need to go sit with that. That was good.